Good evening, my name is Regina and I'm a librarian at the Bethlehem Area Public Library. There are many holidays throughout the year that people around the world celebrate, and there are many traditions at Christmas around the world too. This story, called Cobweb Christmas, is based on a folk tale that's over 200 years old, and it's been told in places like Poland, Germany, Russia, Great Britain, and Romania. It's written by Shirley Climo, and this edition is illustrated by Jane Manning, and I'm reading it with permission from HarperCollins Publishers. Once upon a time, Christmas time, long ago in Germany, there was a little old woman. She was so little, she had to stand on a stool to climb into bed. And so old, she couldn't even count all the Christmases she'd seen. The children in the nearby village called her Tante, which means aunt in German. Tante lived at the edge of a pine forest in a tiny cottage just large enough for her to keep a canary for singing, a cat for purring, and a dog to lie beside the fire. Now, squeezed up against the cottage was a barn. In it, Tante kept a donkey for riding and a goat for milk and cheese. She had a noisy rooster to wake her in the morning and a speckled hen to lay an egg for her breakfast. With so many animals about, her little cottage wasn't very tidy, but a bit of fur, a few feathers, or a spider web or two didn't bother Tante. Except once a year. When the days got short and the nights grew long, the old lady would nod her head and say, "Time to clean for Christmas." Then Tante shook the quilt and scoured the kettle until it shone. She scrubbed the floor on her hands and knees and stood tiptoe on her stool to sweep the cobwebs from the rafters. "Shoo, shoo, shoo," said Tante. She swished her broom and sent every spider and each wisp of web flying out the door. And when she cleaned her home from corner to corner, the little old woman nodded and said, "Time to fetch Christmas." Tante took an axe from the barn and hung the harness with bells on the donkey. She scrambled onto his back and they trotted into the forest. They circled around and around until the old lady cried, "There!" And she pointed to a pine tree, no bigger than she was. "That one's just right," she told the donkey. Tante chopped down the tree, taking care to leave a bough behind so it might grow again. Then, bells jingling, they went home, only now the donkey carried the tree upon his back, and Tante skipped along beside him. The tree fit perfectly in a tiny cottage. The old woman nodded and said, "Time to make Christmas." Now Tante made cookies for the tree. She baked gingerbread, boys and girls, just like down there. She rolled sugar cookies and shaped new moons and cut cinnamon cookie stars. She rubbed apples until they gleamed like glass to hang from the branches too. Next, she put a red ribbon on a bone for the dog and tied a sprig of catnip for the cat. She scattered corn for the chickens and seeds for the canary, and she heaped oats in a basket for the donkey and the goat. Then the old woman nodded and said, "Time to share Christmas." Each year, Tante invited the village children to to come and see her tree. "Tanta, Tanta," they shouted. "It's the most wonderful tree in the world." "Tell me if it tastes as good as it looks," she said. After the children nibbled the apples and the cookies and ate every crumb of gingerbread, they hurried home to put their shoes by their doors for Kris Kringle. Just like those shoes down there. He was the Christmas visitor who went from home to home, tucking gifts into the waiting shoes. Then Tanta asked the animals to share Christmas. The dog, the cat, the canary, the hen, the rooster, and some small, shy, wild creatures crowded around the tree. The donkey and the goat peered in the doorway. Tanta had something for everyone. Everyone except the spiders. For they had all been brushed away when she was cleaning. But no one could give the little old lady what she wanted. I do wonder what she wants. All her life, Tanta had heard tales about marvelous happenings on Christmas Eve. Animals might speak aloud, bees might hum carols, or roosters might crow at midnight. Tanta wished she could witness a bit of Christmas magic too. She sighed and sat down in her rocking chair. "Time to wait for Christmas," said the old lady, nodding her head. Tanta was so tired from cleaning and cooking, she fell fast asleep. She did not know if the rooster crowed when the clock struck 12 or if the dog whispered secrets to the cat. And she did not hear the squeaky voices calling at her door. "Let us in, let us in." Do you know who that is? Well, someone else heard. Kris Kringle was passing the cottage on his way to take toys to the village children. He stopped to listen and saw hundreds of spiders on Tanta's doorstep. "We have never shared a Christmas," the biggest spider explained. "Each year, Tanta sweeps us away. Oh, please, Kris Kringle, would you let us see Tanta's tree?" Kris Kringle looked down at the spiders. "There's no harm in that," he said. And before he went on to the village, he opened Tanta's door a crack. Now you know what that means. They're gonna crawl inside. Huge spiders, tiny spiders, smooth spiders, hairy spiders. Spotted spiders, striped spiders, brown and black and yellow spiders, and the palest kind of see-through spiders came. Creeping, crawling, sneaking softly, scurrying, hurrying, quickly, lightly, zigging, zagging, weaving and wobbling into the old woman's cottage. The curious spiders crept closer and closer to Tanta's tree. One, two, three, skittered up the trunk, and all the other spiders followed. I don't know about you, but I think these spiders kind of look cute. They don't look too creepy to me. Silently, they ran from branch to branch, back and forth, up and down the tree, and wherever the spiders went, they left a trail behind. You know what that's called? Threads looped from limb to limb, and the webs were woven everywhere. Now the busy little spiders had shared Christmas. They had seen and felt every twig on the tree, so they scuttled away. Now, when he had put a gift in all the children's shoes, Kris Kringle returned to latch Tanta's door. He peeked inside and discovered her tree tangled with sticky, stringy cobwebs. He knew how hard the old lady had worked to make Christmas, and how dismayed she'd be when she saw her tree. But he didn't blame the spiders for being curious. Instead, he decided to leave a special gift for Tante too. Gently, Kris Kringle touched each web, and beneath his finger, the slender strands gleamed like gold, and the dangling threads sparkled silver. Now, Tante's Christmas tree was truly the most wonderful in the world. The rooster woke Tante in the morning. The old lady blinked in amazement at her glittering tree. Something magical has happened, and she climbed on her stool for a better look. At the top of the tree, she saw one small spider finishing its web. Ah, Tante nodded her head. So it is you and your kin I have to thank for this Christmas magic. The little old lady understood that such wonders only happen once. Each Christmas thereafter, she did not clean so carefully, but left a few webs in the rafters so that the spiders might share Christmas too. And every year, after she'd hung the cookies and the apples on her tree, she would nod and say, "Time for Christmas magic." Then Tante would weave tinsel among the branches until her tree sparkled with strings of gold and silver, just as it did that magical Cobweb Christmas. I hope you enjoyed the story, and we have little Christmas spider kits available for you at the Bethlehem Township location, the Coolidge Building, 2740 5th Street in Bethlehem Township. You can pick up your kits there to make your own Christmas spider. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.